Hello, friends. Welcome once again. We're here with Emily Beatty. She's from Scotland, but right now she's residing in Japan. So we will be discussing one of the biggest shows that GLEAT held July 1st. It was in the Tokyo Dome City Hall. Welcome, Emily. It's nice to have you here.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, so we will discuss the card of the show. You were there live. I believe you were like your motivation to be in the show was Kotebushi's anniversary match, but
Yes.
you also get to experience like another style of wrestling, which is more related to the sports side of it.
Yeah, exactly. I'd never experienced UWF rules before.
Mhm.
Um, so it was a really good introduction, I think, with those last three matches.
That's awesome to hear. So we'll start from the beginning. So the first match was a multi-man match. There was like four Japanese wrestlers in one team, and they were teaming with Joe Lando, who is a American and British wrestler who was making his debut in Japan. It was a really big dream for him, and it came true this year. And his team actually beat the other team. He was in the team of Shuji Ishikawa, who is a deathmatch legend in Japan, a really big, important name over there. And they beat the team of Maiguchi. So it was like a really good start. What can you tell us about that match?
Yeah, it was lovely. Joe got a lovely little spotlight at the end. Of course, getting the pinfall as well. From our angle, we couldn't really see what happened. He did seem to hit his head at the end. But hopefully he seems okay now. But it was a lovely little spotlight, and the crowd really got behind him by the end.
That's great. Yeah. I actually got to talk with Joe after the match. He told me that he was okay. Yeah, because it really looked scary on the streaming because they streamed the shows in YouTube.
Hmm.
So yeah, it was nice that he had the pin also.
Yeah, it was lovely.
Yeah. Then we had a really interesting and fun match because we had the participation of Kazuki Hirata from DDT Pro. He was teaming up with Minoru Tanaka, also a legend in the junior division in Japan, and they beat the Jans family. How was
Mhm.
like living that? The Hirata experience.
It's so fun. I was at the King of DDT finals
Mhm.
as well. I very much regret not buying a pair of the sunglasses. Uh, I I love looking around the crowd as he makes his entrance and seeing all of the red flashing lights everywhere, and I'm just like, next time. I'll get one next time. It's always so much fun seeing him. Crowd's always in love with the dance, and it was cut off at the beginning of this match, but we got it at the end. We got a four-way dance at the end, so it was all worth it.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, hopefully you get the chance to buy a pair of glasses
I hope
because
so.
you need them to party. Yeah.
I really do. I need them just for the club.
Okay, then we had a special interpromotional match because we had Octagon Jr. from Lucha Libre AAA in Mexico. He was teaming up with Soma Watanabe and they beat
Mm.
SBK and Takuma. So what can you tell us about that match?
Well, I think putting Octagon Jr. with Somala was, I think, the best idea. He seemed like the most popular guy on the show. I had a whole section behind me just littered with signs for him. So it
You
was
mean for
really
Soma, right?
for Soma, yes. So I think it was a great idea for the start of this partnership to pair Octagon Jr. with one of the most popular GLEAT stars that they have. Um, and yeah, it was really fun. I just enjoyed it a lot.
So let's say that Soma is like the most popular guy over there right now.
Yeah, I think
Um,
so.
Okay, that's good to know. So, Suzuki-san, you made a right decision pairing him with Octagon. For who might not know, Octagon Jr. is the current AAA Latin American champion. So, they had like this partnership going on that started in Triple Mania last month. They had Shima going over there to Mexico, and he competed over there. So now they are trying to uh, send Japanese guys to Mexico, Mexican talent also to Japan, so they can work things. Maybe they will help future event. We don't know yet, but it was a good start from what I'm hearing from you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Then we had a six-man tag. It was Black Generation International against Strong Hearts. For me, it was an upset. You know that Strong Hearts lost the match, but I don't know how did you perceive it in there.
No, same here as well. It seemed like quite an obvious Strong Hearts win. And then the match didn't even go very long itself. So I think there was definitely a feeling of like, oh, okay, I guess that one's over. And I guess Strong Hearts just lost. Everyone was maybe a little bit confused, but yeah, it was definitely a shock.
Yes, well, we don't know what will happen with T-Hawk, Yoshoka, or Yamamura, but it was hard for them to lose in that big stage. So let's see what happens in the future. Then we had this match with Gamerasu's team. They got a victory over Bulk Orchestra. What was it like?
So I'd never seen this team before, so I was a little confused when it was like a dog on a leash. There was a little bit of confusion going on, a little bit of a barrier. Got into it eventually though, and my theory is always if I see an older, bald, bulky Japanese guy, I'm instantly a fan. So it was very enjoyable to watch him do his thing.
Oh, that's great. So then we pass the half the card and we start like with the big money matches that they had in the card. Like they had the tag team belts on the line, the G Infinity Championship. So Shima and Kat Hayashi, they defend the championships against Kaito Ishida and Tetsuya Isushi. The challengers won the match. For me, it was also an upset, but I don't know, how do you feel it over there?
Well, firstly, I felt like all the title matches tonight, they felt of importance. GLEAT did a really good job at putting over how important these belts are for their company. There was a lot of respect from the crowd for the tag champs coming in. And then with the finish, with all the run-ins and the amount of kickouts from the champs, there was a lot of respect for them coming out despite losing. But it did feel like a passing of the torch moment, and that these now tag champs will maybe take a little bit of a step back away from the title division.
Yeah, well, like I said, like Shima is one of the veterans. He has been in Mexico last month because of this partnership with AAA, and maybe he would try to do more like administrative duties in GLEAT. And also, we can say that it was a big night for Black Generation International because they won the two matches they had that night and they won the belts.
Yeah, exactly. It was a big night for them.
Then we had the G-Rex Championship match. Hayato Tamura defended the title against Yuki Ino. He retained the championship. It was a really long match. It was entertaining, I will say the least. So how was it experiencing it live?
Yeah, it was great. There was a large section where they were going around the crowd and sort of running at each other like a test of strength almost. So I guess that helped it feel not as long to see them walking about, because they had to set those up and then they got closer and further away. So I think that did really help with the time difference from this match compared to all the other ones we had before. It seems like the crowd wasn't too interested in the challenger while he was making his entrance. Not me, of course. I was supporting for him. I'm all for him. But it seemed like by the end, they really appreciated them coming around the crowd and sort of everybody getting a good view of it, that they appreciated both challenger and champion by the end of the match.
It's great. I believe that after this match, there was like a little intermission.
Yeah, a little 10 minutes, I think.
10 minutes, okay. Yeah, maybe it was because it was kind of long, but like the last 4 matches of the card were like really big matches, even though it was just one for a championship. But what came next was maybe the biggest draw of the event. It was
I think
Ibushi's
so.
anniversary match. Even though it was
Yeah.
only an exhibition match with a five limit time, many people went over there because of Ibushi. And we didn't even know who was going to be his opponent. It was a mystery till the last minute. Yeah.
I know. What a perfect
So
opponent.
yes. Yeah. What can you tell us about the match? It was Daisuke
Yeah.
Sakamoto. So yeah, I agree with you. It was like the perfect opponent for him.
Yeah, I think so. I think it was a perfect one. Kota seemed very chuffed with himself as well. While he made his entrance, he's like, "Yeah, I did this. Don't worry about it." Um, I think it was great. I think he moved a lot better than he did during his AEW run. Obviously,
Mhm.
5 minutes. It's not a lot to go by. But he didn't waste any time. No lockup. No, really much grappling at all. It was more just Koa hitting his best hits. There was a moment where he was put in a submission, I guess, to kind of just make sure he had the time to get to the finish, that he had enough energy. And I think this was probably as good as it could be. I think when he does return to regular competition, we should maybe think about adapting the moveset and the style of wrestling a little bit. Just looking at, his age and the fact that he has been doing this for 20 years now, and he has sustained quite a few injuries in the past, 4 or 5 years. I think this moveset's maybe not sustainable if he wants to keep wrestling for another 10, 20 years.
Yes, it was a short match. He didn't waste any minutes.
No.
Also, Sakamoto-san didn't waste any minutes. They had a really, really cool exchange of moves. They changed the dynamic the whole match, so it was like really fluid. They had a really good pace. I agree with you that it felt like Bushi was more comfortable wrestling here than during his entire AEW run last year.
Yeah.
And also, like, I don't know if his body is ready to wrestle more than, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes. Like what happened in Noah was like really sad, but they had him wrestling over 25 minutes and he was dealing with injuries. So, you can expect him to like do all his crazy stuff for 25 minutes. It's like nuts. So I don't know, maybe I agree with you also that he should maybe adapt his moveset, see what fits the most to his current self, that doesn't tarnish his his health, and also his legacy, because we all remember Ibushi as one of the greatest of his generation, being active for 20 years now. But yeah, it's true that he hasn't been the same since the injury during the G1 climax. So hopefully he gets to learn a lesson from this match. It was short. He did it well. People really like what he did in this match. Not only the Japanese fans, but international fans have been all over social media talking about how comfortable he was, how well he did. So maybe, I don't know, maybe it's like what happened with Shibata. Like he's not doing all this crazy stuff that he used to do before the injury in 2017. So maybe we get to see Ibushi for at least 5 more years, but like more chill, more calm.
Let's all just chill out.
Like Naito will say, tranquilo.
Yes,
tranquilo.
We want to do some grappling, some mat work. That's fine by me. I don't need to see, the standard moonsault every match. That's okay. So I think this was a nice swan song for this moveset. It's like, you got your 5 minutes. It's the 20th anniversary. Like, we're done with this. We're moving on to something else. We're adapting.
Indeed. Then we had the first UWF rules match of the night. It was Josh Barnett, who is an MMA legend. He has been a former UFC heavyweight champion. He runs Bloodsport, which is really popular among wrestling fans because it's more focused on the sports side wrestling. So he had a match with Yu Suka, and he beat him by referee decision like 3 minutes after the bell ring. So how was your experience? Like, it was your first UWF Rules match, right?
Yeah, this ruled. This was so good. Of course, you mentioned Bloodsport. They just had a successful debut here in Japan, just a few weeks ago. So I wasn't able to attend, so I thought, oh, okay, I'll not get to see Josh Barnett, which is someone who, you know, is obviously, like you said, so famous in UFC and wrestling. So it was so cool to see him today, and to see him against someone of such a different height and weight class from him in this kind of rules was crazy. I remember the first toss Josh did, and it was from one side of the ring all the way to the other, and he landed straight on his stomach, and it was like, whoa. That's when like business picked up. Everyone's like, whoa, all right, see where this is going now. And it was so just fun and exciting. It's like you were watching a car crash, but not in a bad way, like a good one. A good car crash.
It's always a good car crash.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
man.
I loved it. It was so good. And I think we'll get on to the next UWF match in a minute. That one was a lot slower pace, so I think this one was a great way to introduce it and then help people like me, who this was their first match, get more invested in the second one.
That's awesome to hear, because Bloodsport match is different than UWF. UWF is a type of match that was really popular in Japan, like it's still being popular in Japan for over 30 years now. Yeah. And then they adapt this UWF rules type of matches to Bloodsport, which is like the same but without ropes. So now they have those kind of matches in Japan. Like you said, Josh Barnett bring Bloodsport Bushido, like it was 2 weeks ago. They had a really insane card with Jon Moxley, Minoru Suzuki, Timothy Thatcher. They had Konami from Stardom, Maya Fukuda, who used to wrestle in GLEAT, but she's now a free agent. So yeah, it was great to have that, and I'm happy to hear that you really wanted to see Barnett compete and you got the chance to do that. Then we had the next UWF Rules match with Shinji Aoki. He beat El Lindaman. I believe they are two opponents that match each other, but I really thought that because it was a big event, it was more of a El Lindaman night, but it wasn't. How was it for you?
When I think of GLEAT, I think of El Lindaman. I feel like for international fans, he is the face of GLEAT, at least for me anyway. So it was lovely to see him, but I feel like he was very outclassed in this match. I feel like that was the story of the whole match, was El Lindaman trying so hard to push and to get something, anything. But he just, I feel like his lack of experience, I'm not actually sure if he does, but it seemed like he had a much lesser experience in UWF rules, and that's what costed him at the end.
Okay, now we get to see what Lindemann will do the next few months to get back in track, because it was an important night and he getting this loose. In case he wanted to be the next challenger for the LEAT UWF Championship, he's like back in the line. So let's see what will happen with him. And then the main event was another of the most important matches of the night, another of the draws of this card. It was Katsuhiko Nakajima's debut in GLEAT against Takanori Ito for the vacant LEAT UWF Championship. You know, it's really weird what's happening with Nakajima. He's like he left Noah last year, suddenly appearing in All Japan. His debut match, he won the Triple Crown Championships against Kento Miyohara. Then he had his run as championship. He was doing great, and then suddenly he lost the belt with Yu Mansai, who is like a really good wrestler, really young, really talented, really charismatic. But like the way the match ended, it was like confusing, and then he totally disappeared, and then started like doing these cryptic messages on social media, and then he just suddenly appears in GLEAT. So I don't know, it's like crazy.
I don't know. There were rumors of him going to America, I'm not mistaken.
NXT. Yeah, I remember there were rumors about he going to NXT, but you know,
Now he's here.
Yeah, and he got a title match in his debut, and he won the
Yeah.
match. And it's the second time in less than a year that he wins the top championship of a promotion in his debut match. It's like crazy. Not many wrestlers or athletes can say that. So, like,
Mm,
Nakajima is special. We can say that, at least for
yeah.
sure. So, how was it for you experiencing that match? Like,
It was fun. You know, like I said, not seen many UWF rules matches, but obviously very aware of Nakajima. Aware of how popular he is here. Maybe my lack of experience of GLEAT helped me predict the result of this match, because I came into this thinking, oh, this looks like an easy Nakajima win for me, but maybe that was because I don't really watch GLEAT. But it was really impressive. I think especially the 2 double downs. Anything past that, 2 double downs to the M bell, I think really everybody was on the edge of their seats in that building.
yeah, it's kind of a risky bet for GLEAT to have Nakajima as a champion. Like you said, maybe in your case you didn't watch GLEAT before, but Takanori Ito was the WWF champion before. So maybe people will believe that if they had Nakajima, they wanted to legitimate Ito in another reign, but it was the opposite. It was like an even match, and Nakajima established himself as the new champion and as a new member of the roster.
Yeah. What a way to debut as well.
Well, that's the card for it. Any other comments about your experience in your first GLEAT show?
To be honest, I think it's the best show I've been to here. In terms of crowd atmosphere, I think it was pretty much sold out, if not very, very close to being. And it was very loud in there. But I think for GLEAT as well, they should be so proud of themselves. That production was like top tier. There was no issues throughout the night. I don't know how it was on the YouTube. I just checked it quickly today, but I think the show also being available free for YouTube is so helpful for GLEAT. So I really recommend that everybody checks it out.
That's great. Yeah, I haven't been to a GLEAT show before, but I'm looking forward to if I get the chance, because the crowd like really looked intense. They were really loud, like you said. That's true. And hopefully the next big events from GLEAT after the summer will get this kind of atmosphere and have good matches too. So that's all for today. Thank you for being here, Emily. It was a pleasure to have someone experiencing that live, and it's also nice that it was your first show and you get to share it live.
Yeah, I loved it. Thank you for having me.
Okay, until next time, friends.